Hi, I am Shellby Lutters-Walker, and this is my AEP 803 Educational Research Final Research Proposal. iPads to be or not to be the future of our teaching. I started out my presentation with a wonderful quote by David Warlick. We need technology in every classroom and in every student and teacher's hands because it is the pen and paper of our time, and it is the lens through which we experience much of our world. I feel like this is what we are going through with the iPad movement right now as teachers, and it is completely relatable to our experience. My introduction: the purpose of this study was to examine how iPads are affecting our future education in regards to teacher and student implementation, teacher instruction, student learning, classroom environment, student success, classroom management, student behavior, implementation, teaching strategies and techniques, and the positive negative of using them. My research question is how are iPads going to affect the future of our education in regards to teachers, student implementation, teacher instruction, student learning, classroom environment, student success, classroom management, student behavior, implementation, teaching strategies and techniques, and pros and cons of using them. My research sub-questions are: what is the future of our education with teacher and student implementation of iPads in the classroom? Are iPads going to become an essential factor and tool in regards to how students learn? Will iPads have a positive or negative effect on or change how a student succeeds in school? Are iPads going to guide in controlling student behavior in a classroom environment? Will teaching strategies and techniques improve with the use of iPads? What are the positive and negative factors of using iPads in the classroom? I chose to divide my literature review into my topics and subtopics. The first one is Future of Education, Teacher and Student Implementation, and these are the articles I chose to use because they related to my subtopic. The second one is Teacher Instruction, Student Learning, and these are the articles that I chose to use. My third one is Classroom Environment, Student Success, and these are the articles that I chose to use. My fourth one is Classroom Management, Student Behavior, and these are the articles. My fifth one is Implementation, Teaching Strategies and Techniques, and these are the articles. And my final one is Positive and Negatives, and these are the articles that I chose to use. Reflexivity. Being an educator has been a passionate and rewarding career for me. I've earned a BS in elementary education, and in the process of completing my MS in elementary education with an emphasis in reading, I am currently in my 10th year of teaching and have had the opportunity to teach in each grade level, kindergarten through 5th grade. With technology being a focal point in today's education, I am currently experiencing the rush of the movement with the use of an iPad in my own classroom. I completely support the use of technology in classrooms, and I'm personally very excited to see the benefits of iPads in elementary classrooms. I don't only look at an iPad as an educational tool, but I also see it as a tool to positively affect classroom management, student learning, teaching, student behavior, teaching strategies, and techniques. With this movement taking place in my own classroom, and also with the discussion going one-to-one next year with elementary students, I feel as though it is essential for me to have the power of knowledge in using this technology to prepare my students for their future learning and success in a technological society. To gain this knowledge, I will use the support, guidance, opportunities, and experiences from my own teaching peers who are also experiencing the movement along with me. My data collection: the data I will study will be the potential effect iPads will have in the future of our education in regards to teacher-student implementation, teacher instruction, student learning, classroom environment, student success, classroom management, student behavior, implementation, teaching strategies and techniques, and positive and negatives. I will collect data by teacher surveys, questionnaires, and observations of teachers and students while using iPads in their classroom. I will collect this data on a weekly basis directly from the teachers participating in this research study. The data will be recorded by teachers using a point system that I will develop particularly for this research study. For example, a teacher will fill out a form using a point system of the numbers 1 through 5. The number 1 will be not implementing iPads, and the number 5 will be always implementing iPads. The number 2 will be implementing iPads some. Number 3 will be implementing iPads often, and the number 4 will be implementing iPads frequently. I will attach a percentage to each of these numbers. For example, 1 would be 0%, 2, 30%, 3, 50%, 4, 75%, 5, 100%. By the attaching of a percentage to the number system, this will give me assurance and organization of my findings to justify my data and be able to graph my findings for the purpose of sharing with my colleagues, administration, board members, and potentially parents. I will organize my data into the following topics: teacher-student implementation, teacher instruction, student learning, classroom environment, student success, classroom management, student behavior, implementation, teaching strategies and techniques, and positive and negatives with implementation of iPads in the classroom. I will obtain access to my colleagues and administrators by first having a meeting to inform and describe my research study. At this meeting, I will inform them that it is not mandatory to participate and that they are obligated to not obligated to participate, and if at any time they want to withdraw from participating in the study, they may do so without consequence. After this meeting, I will disperse a consent form to all teachers and administrators to ask for their participation in my study. After I receive the consent forms of those who are willing to participate, I will have a follow-up meeting with them to inform and describe more in depth the point system and the topics I will be researching for this study. The target population or sample group will be the teachers within my district. I'm debating kind of right now on whether to have my groups just be elementary teachers or both elementary, middle school, and high school teachers. Excuse me. The reason I would have middle school and high school teachers would be because our elementary teachers there's only 6 of us, so that's a pretty small sample size. I will collect the data that participants record by personally going to them and retrieving it from them or having them send it to me through my email address that I will set up just for the use of this research study. I don't want a middleman when it comes to the data because this is a research study and the only people who need to be involved or have access to the data will be myself or the participants. The data will be recorded by teachers using the point system, which I described earlier, and will be made up of specific questions that pertain to each of my subtopics. Surveys that will surveys that will reflect the teachers, participants, and their personal opinions and experiences, and by my own observations of the particular classrooms. I feel like that's the best way to get to obtain the most concrete data. After I'm done with my data, I will store it in my own classroom for a year after the conclusion, and it will be locked up, and any data that is emailed to me or I develop on the computer will be stored on a CD and also locked up in the same file cabinet. The data analysis, I will organize my data by the types, which were the interviews, observations, and surveys. I will then categorize them by my questions, by the following, by my subtopics. If I choose to implement the elementary, middle school, and high school teachers, I will divide them into their own categorical data. Any interviews, observations, or surveys that I obtain will be transcribed into Word documents and put into separate folders labeled interviews, observations, surveys, These folders will also be labeled elementary, middle school, and high school for complete separation of data obtained or collected. I will use the computer program HyperResearch since it is compatible with my Mac computer to organize my data. I will collect my data on a weekly basis and input it as I go to avoid overwhelming myself with tons of data to analyze at one time at the end of the research study. Validity and reliability. I will ensure that I accurately describe what I observe on a weekly basis while in each of the classrooms participating in my research study to ensure that my field notes, interviews, and surveys will be kept and transcribed verbatim into my Word documents. All data that I will collect will be transcribed exactly as it is documented by the teacher participants in this study. The reliability of the instruments I will use in my research study will be consistent with each teacher using them. I will reread all of the documents I obtained during this study to maintain consistency in the goals of my research study. The ethical concerns with my research study is keeping all the information of those involved confidential. I will also make sure that all participants are comfortable and confident in my ability to keep all of their information confidential. To ensure that this happens, I will give all of the participants a consent form that will have to be filled out prior to participating in the research study. I have also put at the bottom of the consent form a withdrawal section for the participant and myself to sign and date if they choose at any time during the research study to withdraw their participation. I will have a meeting with all potential participants to discuss the steps I will take to keep any and all information in regards to this research study confidential. During this meeting, I will discuss the consent form and how my data and records will be stored in a locked file cabinet, and any computer-generated documents will be downloaded onto a CD and placed in the same file cabinet with all of my hard copies of data obtained. I will also discuss that any information, data, interviews, observation, and surveys will be kept in my in my possession for at least a year after the conclusion of my research study. After this year is up, I will notify them and dispose of all information, data, interviews, observations, and surveys in a proper manner. All material will be shredded. This is a link to my consent form. The limitations I foresee with this study is not having adequate participation and consistent data from the teachers during the research study. Teachers are very busy on a daily basis, and this research study is asking them to record a variety of data on a daily basis. With the subtopics that I am researching, it will be essential for the participants to record their data in the appropriate category to ensure that results are accurate. I will do whatever I can to ensure that the participants will record data consistently and appropriately. While doing this, I want to ensure that the participants have a positive experience while participating in my research study. This is the end of my presentation. I hope you have enjoyed it, and good luck, and God bless all of you.